Good morning. Happy Thursday morning. Welcome to the PTNS Daily Show. I'm happy to be your host today here on Thursday morning. It's Leadership Thursday. My name is Alan, currently serving as the COO of ICE and faculty member in our fitness athlete division. Leadership Thursday, we talk all things practice ownership and small business leadership tips. It's Thursday, which means it's Gut Check Thursday. Today's Gut Check Thursday was a suggestion from an ICE faculty member, Kelly Benfey. Actually, not a suggestion from her. Jeff Moore said, that looks fun, you should make that gut check. So if you really hate this week's Gut Check Thursday, it's really actually Jeff Moore's fault. Today's gut check, every 2 minutes, including 0, you're going to start off with a 200-meter row for guys, 175 meters for ladies. And then you're doing as many devil's press as you can. Devil's press, double dumbbell, burpee between the dumbbell, and then from the ground to the shoulder, performing a clean and jerk, or if you can, all the way from the ground to overhead is a double dumbbell snatch. The weight today, 50-35, but ideally a weight you can move in sets of 5 to 10. And then when the clock beeps, you're stopping the devil's press and starting the row all over again. And you are done with the workout when you get through 40 devil's presses. So you're racing against the clock, trying to get as many devil's press as you can get done before you have to get back on the rower. Saw some folks finishing in 4, 5, 6 rounds. So right around that 10-minute mark that we like for gut check. Lots of scaling and modification options in the post on Facebook or Instagram, so make sure you check that out before you fire that up for this weekend. So enjoy that one. Speaking of things coming your way this weekend, if you'll be up in Rochester, New York, I'll be happy to join you this weekend with Jeff Moore and Rachel Selena for cervical spine management. Still have a chance to catch Zach Long out in Minneapolis, Minnesota for Fitness Athlete Live, or if you're way out west, you can join Mark Gallant in Cheyenne, Wyoming for extremity management. Then we're taking a little bit of a break for Labor Day weekend, and then firing up after Labor Day with a couple online courses. We have Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations with myself, Mitch Babcock, and Guillermo Contreras. That's starting September 7th. You can also catch Clinical Management Fitness Athlete Pregnancy and Postpartum. That's 8 weeks online with Christina Previtt, Alexis Morgan, Allison Melrose, and Jessica Gingrich. And then you can catch Jason London, Rachel Selena, and Megan Peach later in September for Rehab of the Injured Runner. That's also an 8-week online course coming your way. And then our first live courses after the holiday will be the weekend of September 11th. You can join Jordan out in Arizona for cervical spine management, Jeff Moore in Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska for cervical spine management. You can catch Mitch down in Atlanta, Georgia for Fitness Athlete Live. And you have another chance to catch Mark for extremity management, this time in Bismarck, North Dakota. So that's what's coming your way course-wise. Let's get into today's topic. Today's going to build on what we talked about last week. We talked about systems and using systems to help onboard new staff, to help folks take over tasks, or otherwise just make our life more organized, especially as we transition from clinic practitioner to clinic owner, clinic manager, somebody doing a little bit more administrative and management work on the clinic side of things. You're going to see me continue to wipe my face. Speaking of working out, I just finished a really nasty class workout. Will not make the mistake of trying to put my glasses on again this week and just have them fog up. So if you haven't listened to last week's, listen to last week's. That'll kind of prep you for what we're going to talk about today, which is delegate or die. As we kind of carry on this theme of practice ownership, of kind of the basics of leadership, we need to get really comfortable with delegating tasks. And that can be very hard for some of us, and I'm guilty as charged of this, of somebody who is very hesitant to delegate tasks out to people, to hand tasks away to people, from maybe no other reason than just an innate sense of perfectionism. So maybe you're like me and you have a really hard time delegating tasks, so we're going to talk about that today. The first thing we need to recognize is that there is a dichotomy here, right, of we need to learn to give some of our tasks away to folks and have them pick up some of the work that we are doing, but that it can't harm the result of whatever that task is, whatever the product or service that's the output of that task. We can't let that quality go down, and certainly we don't want the cost to go up or the time efficiency to go up as we transition that task, which it can be part of the reason why as leaders we are so hesitant to give up tasks. We've found a way to do it, a way that makes sense in our brain, as we were talking about last week, a way that makes sense to the system that we've probably created for it, and we're really hesitant to give it up because we found a good way to do it, and we don't want to wash that down the drain. But we must absolutely delegate or die. You'll find that as you transition from maybe you are a single person in your clinic now, maybe you're the only person running and operating the clinic, maybe you are doing something cash-based, maybe right now it's just a side hustle, but you want to level that up and transition into business ownership, right? You want to bring on more PTs, you want to grow your practice. Maybe you're thinking about a second location with more practitioners. Maybe you're in that stage of the game. You absolutely have to learn how to delegate some of these tasks. So the first thing is making sure that you understand whatever tasks that maybe are not as important to you anymore, or that are taking up a lot of your time and preventing you from doing a lot of stuff. So we talk about this a lot in our clinical management of fitness athlete courses. We touch on it a little bit, essential foundations, and we really get deep into the weeds in it in our advanced concepts class when we talk about business planning, and we have folks make an actual business plan of, you are trained now, you're ready to go out, you're ready to maybe get started seeing CrossFitters or weightlifters or power lifters in a gym. What does that look like from a side hustle point of view? And folks always have the question, when do I know I'm ready to transition from my full-time 9 to 5 job to taking my side hustle full-time? When is that jump-off point? That jump-off point is the same as it is for delegating any task, whether it's taking on more patients or I no longer have time to do X task. It's when you say, whatever I'm currently doing is getting in the way of me growing my business, that I am working too much in the business and not enough on the business. I need to find some extra time in the work week to actually work on the business, to have time to maybe go meet with physicians or go do a workshop at another gym to try and reach a new audience of potential clients. Whatever you're seeing that's in my way of growing your business are tasks that you need to delegate out. In some cases, that can be patient care, right? Sometimes that means we need to see less patients a week. We need to maybe bring on a part-time or another full-time therapist to see the patients that you currently have so that you have more time to work on the business. So wherever in your mind's eye you're thinking, this is really annoying, this is getting in the way of me growing my business, those are the things that we need to delegate. Now, how do we delegate? We don't just hire somebody and say, I need all this stuff done, good luck with it, right? It's not as simple as hiring somebody to maybe come clean your gutters, right? It's not that simple. We need to sit down, like we talked about last week, and make sure that we actually understand, how do I actually do these things? Like, what is my process? Again, most of our systems we have created in our own brain, they make sense to us, but it can be helpful to write them down. When I come in for the morning, what does opening the clinic look like? If you're the only one that has ever opened your clinic, and now maybe somebody else is going to be opening the clinic, what do those steps actually look like? We talked a lot last week, and I recommended a book that I'm going to recommend again, The Checklist Manifesto by Atul Gawande. Can be really helpful to kind of analyze what actually are my systems. I know I have them. I can't maybe verbalize them or tell them to somebody else, but understanding those systems, writing them down, what does it look like to do X task? So understanding what you're asking somebody to do can be helpful before you then ask them to do it. The second thing is to be comfortable with understanding when someone is just not getting the job done, right? I think we can all relate to maybe having somebody doing administrative work in a traditional clinic we've worked at, who it was just a real pain. They just did not seem to get on board, no matter how many times they had. They could just not pick up the ball and run with it, right? No matter how much time they had to learn a task or practice a task, delegating a task to that person always turned into creating more work for you or whoever else was in an ownership or management position, then it saved them. That is something we absolutely have to stay away from, right? I've gone through a couple of those periods in my life trying to delegate stuff, and that can jade us, right? When we try to hand stuff over and people just do a really lousy job and they just don't seem to get it. We have to be comfortable taking those tasks back or trying to give them to somebody else sooner rather than later. It can be really inefficient to delegate some tasks to people when they're just not getting it. Maybe that means they need some more training. We're big fans here of spending time, dedicating time out of the schedule every week, whenever we can find half an hour. Yes, we're practicing manual therapy, but we're also talking about the tasks that we expect of the clinicians here at Health HQ. We do the same thing at ICE. ICE, we have an entire website dedicated to how do you do X, how do you do Y, how do you do Z. There's a different tab on the website. In case you forget, in case you need a refresher, there's a tab you can click, there's a video, there's a verbal written walkthrough of how to do these tasks that have been delegated out. That can be a very helpful way when onboarding somebody new that you're going to be delegating with. You can never go wrong with too much training, too much education. And that being said, if you do think you are doing a lot of education, a lot of training, and that person is still not picking up the torch, then maybe it's time to move them on from that task. Because again, the last thing we want is that we turn a task over and it's not getting done, and you have to step in and fix it yourself. And now not only you're doing your tasks, but you're also doing the tasks that you thought you had delegated away to make sure that they get done, and we don't want to end up in that situation. All of us can relate to the undergrad college group project scenario where one person does all the work and the other 3 people are just kind of lost in the sauce and need to be pushed along. You don't want to end up in that situation, especially long term. So make sure that we are delegating, that folks can actually get the job done. And the last point here is probably the most important, in that for some reason over time gets ignored, is that once you hand a task away, you have handed the task away. If somebody is doing it right, the results are getting done in a way that's satisfactory. It might not be your way, it might not be the way or system that you created. You have to let it go, right? You got to let that free bird fly. I think too often we delegate tasks away, and then we just, we peek our head in, and what we're actually doing is micromanaging. And rest assured, every single human being that exists on the planet hates to be micromanaged. There is not a single person that likes somebody else standing over their shoulder, asking them what they're doing, saying, ooh, I wouldn't do it that way, or hey, have you tried it this way? Certainly there are times to sit down and offer feedback, but it's not continuous micromanagement, right? Every single person that has a heartbeat hates micromanagement. That was the main reason I got out of the military, is I could not stand to be micromanaged mopping a toilet for the 8,000th time, right? It just got to be too much micromanagement, and I had to move on. So make sure you don't become that person. When you delegate a task out, it's being done, that you really let it go and do not micromanage that person. That person will grow to resent you. Again, the whole idea is letting these tasks go to free up more time for you to work on your business, not in your business. And if you're spending all of your time looking over somebody's shoulder, you're probably not getting a lot of your own work done. So keep that in mind. Just remember, everybody hates micromanagement. If you have a question, you're sitting and you're thinking, boy, I wonder if they don't mind if I do that. Yes, they do mind. They hate it a lot. They're just being too polite to tell you to go away and leave them alone. So just keep that in mind. So delegation, make sure you actually understand what tasks need to be delegated. Make sure you understand, how do I actually accomplish these tasks? Maybe that involves writing them down in a checklist style. It could be as advanced as like we have at ICE, where we have a website for all these tasks with video walkthroughs. That's certainly a more foolproof way to make sure that somebody can get the job done. And then when you hand those tasks off, make sure you actually let them go for good, and you're not continually checking in and micromanaging that task and micromanaging that person, because that can lead to a lot of resentment. It can lead to a lack of independence in that person, thinking, my boss must not trust me. They're always checking my work. People really, really hate that, so don't do it if it's not necessary. So keep that in mind. So I'd love to hear how you all are delegating tasks. What in your work week, maybe it's something at home, maybe a home task, a family task, something that you have found that you needed to give away. And then let me know how that went. Did it go well? Did it free up more time? What did that let you do with that extra time? What else could you accomplish once you started to delegate that task? So Leadership 104, delegate or die, for perfectionists, for systems-oriented people, for Enneagram type 6s like myself. It can be hard to let those tasks go, but it's really, really crucial that we get comfortable finding somebody who can pick up that load and run with it, and that once they do, we leave them alone and let them get the job done. So I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. If you're going to be in New York this weekend with us, I'm looking forward to seeing you all Saturday morning. If you're going to be in Minneapolis with Zach, Kelly, Kristen, and Guillermo, have a great weekend. If you're going to be out in Wyoming with Mark, have a great time. And if you're going to be down in Georgia with Zach Morgan for cervical management, have a great weekend. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Have a great weekend. Have a great Thursday. Bye, everybody.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.